skull is really nice though. Cool skull.
Yes, pretty cool. Go on.
Okay, Norma Basalis. The Norma Basalis is divided into the anterior, middle, and the posterior parts. Now, the anterior part is formed by the hard palate. This is the hard palate and the alveolar arch, which lodges in the teeth. And the middle and the posterior parts are separated by an imaginary transverse line which passes through the anterior margin of the foramen magnum. So this is the foramen magnum, this bada wala foramen, and there's this imaginary line which separates it from middle and the posterior parts of the Norma Basalis. Now, anterior part of the Norma Basalis, first of all, we'll talk about the alveolar arch, which bear the sockets for the roots of the upper teeth. So you can see the teeth here. Then hard palate, the anterior 2/3 by the palatine.
पहले वो बता दे, like explain all this. दिखा दे.
ये वाला तू बोल.
Okay, so you can see यहाँ पे this is the, तू इसको पकड़, hold this. I'll explain. Okay, now if you see, इसमें see all the anterior things. This is the incisive fossa right here. Okay, this is the palatine process. ये पूरा green is the palatine process. Palatine process of the maxilla bone. Okay, this is the intermaxillary suture. All right. Now this is the palatomaxillary suture because this red part is the palatine bone. All right, and the red part ये जो दिख रहा है, that is the horizontal plate of the palatine bone. Okay, this is the greater palatine foramen. You'll see it in the skull also. This is the greater palatine foramen right here. Then this is the lesser palatine foramen जो 2 to 3 होते हैं यहाँ पे. ठीक है. एंड ये जो यहाँ टुड्डा निकल रहा है, ये पोस्टीरियर नेजल स्पाइन है. ओके, एंड पिरामिडल प्रोसेस ऑफ द पैलेटाइन बोन इज यहाँ पे, ये जो इधर से जो छोटा सा निकल रहा है, दैट इज द पैलेटाइन प्रोसेस ऑफ द पिरामिडल प्रोसेस ऑफ द पैलेटाइन बोन, एंड द लेसर पैलेटाइन फोरामेन इट परफोरेट्स द पिरामिडल प्रोसेस ऑफ द पैलेटाइन बोन. नाउ
And this is the zygomatic process of the maxilla.
हाँ, zygomatic process.
Now we're talking about the hard palate.
इसको use कर.
The anterior 2/3 by the palatine process of the maxillary bone, जो वो दिखाता the green वाला part out here. So if you want to see it in the skull, it's here also. This part is the palatine process of the maxilla bone. Then the posterior 1/3 is formed by the horizontal plate of the palatine bone. So this is the horizontal plate of the palatine bone. So ये हो गया हमारा formation. Now sutures, it is crossed by cruciform suture. It makes a plus kind of thing here. It's also clear here. 1, 2, cross. So it's known as a cruciform suture. It is made up of intermaxillary suture between the palatine process of the maxilla bone. So that is the intermaxillary suture. Then you have the interpalatine suture, which is between the horizontal plates of the palatine bone. And there's this suture, जो cross बनाता है. This one is the palatomaxillary suture between the horizontal plate of the palatine bone and the palatine process of the maxillar bone. So these are the 3 sutures that we see here. Then the dome, it's arched on all directions and it shows pits for the palatine glands. So there's small pits here. Not important, but anyways. The incisive fossa, we talked about this incisive fossa. Incisive fossa is a deep fossa which is situated anteriorly in the median plane. In some cases, 2 incisive canals, right and left, pierce the walls of the incisive fossa. Here if you see very closely, you can see right and left incisive canals, and there's this line here. So usually one on each side, so this there, but occasionally what happens in the median plane, the left begins anteriorly and the right posterior. So here in this skull you can see left is anterior and right is posterior. Now the great palatine foramen, one on each side, this you see here is the great palatine foramen. Here this is the great palatine foramen. The great palatine foramen, one on each side. Then you have the lesser palatine foramen, which are 2 to 3 in number on each side behind the greater palatine. So the greater palatine foramen, and behind it is the lesser palatine foramen. Alright, and they perforate the pyramidal process of the palatine bone. So this is the, if you see this part, this is the pyramidal process of the palatine bone. Here if you want to see this part, right? This part is the pyramidal process of the palatine bone. So these lesser palatine foramina, they perforate the pyramidal process of palatine bone. Then the posterior border of the hard palate is free, and this part is the posterior nasal spine in the medial plane again. So this is the
that tudda.
Yeah, that whatever in the present nasal posterior nasal spine in the medial plane. Then the palatine crest is a curved ridge near the posterior border. If you see this, if you see clearly, you can observe a ridge out here.
It's right here. ये देख, ये that ridge.
This wala ridge is it begins behind the greater palatine foramen and runs behind the greater palatine runs medially. So this part is the palatine crest, which begins behind the greater palatine foramen and runs
medially.
So here you can see this one is the greater palatine behind this one.
Palatine crest, na?
Palatine crest. That's it.
Okay.